Alright, what's up, guys? Very excited to bring you my new Galaxy Eyes deck here. This deck can go second very well. It can go first somewhat well. It has a lot of cool negates and stuff. Definitely has some going first place, but it's optimal going second. Very enjoyable deck. The playstyle is like Blue Eyes fused with Cyber Dragon. Really enjoyable deck to play, but I mean, let's get started. First, we've got the original Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, definitely at 3. So many cards rely on this card in the extra deck, in the main deck. Very good to have. Definitely at 3. Trade in target along with other things. So definitely we max this guy out at 3. Very searchable. A lot of different cards search him, bring him back from graveyard. You can't not have him. As far as his effect, well, first of all, his stats are basically Blue Eyes. Everything about him is basically Blue Eyes. So even if he was just a normal monster, he would already be like on par with Blue Eyes in theory. But he does have an effect. You can special summon him by attributing 2 light monsters. So it doesn't count as a normal summon, it counts as a special summon. All of the monsters in your main deck are lights. Every single card in your extra deck, with the exception of 1, is a light. So you always have lights. And it's a special summon. There's a lot of cards in this deck that, well, there's a few that make you miss your normal summon. So why not? Sometimes it comes up. Most of the time you won't be doing that, but like again, sometimes you need a photon in the graveyard, sometimes you need a galaxy in the graveyard. Sometimes it comes up. And then its other effect, which is again a pretty decent effect. When you attack your opponent's monster, you can quick effect banish both this card and that card until the end of the battle phase, which you would think is like not that great, but I mean it comes up sometimes. And again, it's like he already has like 3 he has like 3 effects, and Blue Eyes has none, so I guess in some ways he outmatches Blue Eyes there. Next we've got Galaxy Knight. Again, playing this at 3. Very good card. When you control a Galaxy or Photon monster, you can normal summon this card. Without tributing, obviously it's a level 8, trade in target. And then when it's summoned, regardless of you can resolve this next effect, he loses 1000 attack, but if you have a Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon in the graveyard, you can special summon him for free. So very good. On summon, he's a +1 if you can resolve that effect. Definitely pretty good. Max him out at 3. 1 copy of Galaxy Brave. Some people play 3. These cards are very searchable. So I just go ahead and play it at 1. But you feel free to do whatever you want. This is basically like alternate eyes, but for Galaxy cards. You have to reveal 1 Photon monster in your hand, and you special summon this. And then its level becomes the level of a Photon monster, of that Photon monster. And if this card is normal or special summon, most of the time it's going to be special summon, definitely not normal summon. It's, again, level 8. You can target Galaxy, a monster in the graveyard, and the attack becomes that monster's attack. But again, it's like, that effect, really, that second effect is kind of irrelevant, because you're going to be using it as XYZ material anyway. I'm playing a slightly smaller Photon engine, so I am only playing 1 of these, but if you're playing more Photons than I am in your build, please go ahead and definitely max him out at 3. He's a good card. I really can't complain, but like, you know, I have my problems with him. Next, we've got 3 copies of Galaxy Soldier. Incredible enabler in the deck. Basically, summon him by discarding a light monster, and then you get to special summon him for free. And then when he's special summoned, you can add 1 Galaxy monster from your deck to your hand. With this deck, see, with Cyber Dragons, you can only search him, but with Galaxies, you can actually search whatever you want. Any of the monsters that I've showed you previously, and the next one, which is probably one of the best, but you can search any Galaxy monster. So you can like summon him and then search, for example, Galaxy Knight, and then you can normal summon Galaxy Knight right away, because you have a Galaxy Soldier on the field, which is a Galaxy monster. So it's really cool. Or you can just search a Galaxy Soldier and rank into infinity for a decent going first play. But yeah, this is a very good card. The special summon is actually not once per turn. But when meaning like you can discarding a light to summon him is not once per turn. But the searching is a hard once per turn. Next, we've got 3 copies of Galaxy Wizard. Some people have actually started cutting him down to some people have actually started cutting him. I am going to go ahead and not do that because I think he's one of the better cards in the entire deck. Number one, he can make himself level 8. Important, right? We can, in this deck, definitely very important. Uh, and then he has a quick effect where if you tribute this, you can search one galaxy card from your deck to your hand. That's galaxy card, not a galaxy monster. So we can search some pretty powerful cards, and I'll show you which ones later. But there's spells that are really good. All of the galaxy monsters that I've shown you here are all searchable thanks to this card. Uh, it is one of the better cards to like open within the deck because it can search like a lot of your engine. Like let's say you have a copy of Trade-In, you normal summon this, tribute it, and then search out the Galaxy Photon, draw 2 cards, and then summon a Photon, summon a Galaxy. Like it enables a lot of plays. Definitely one of the better cards in the deck. I don't really see why you would play less of it, but I mean, yes, it does lose to Ash, but I mean, you can't think like that because then, you know, if you're thinking about losing to Ash, then you are just going to lose to Ash. I mean, this deck isn't uh, a tier 1 deck, but, you know, we play Called by the Grave. We try our best here. But yeah, that's it. Yeah, I play 3. I've said everything I can about this. I like the card a lot. Next, we play only 1 Galaxy Cleric. This is one of the newer cards, too, from Soul Fusion. I guess it's not that new now. But basically, if this card's in your hand, you can target 1 Galaxy or Photon monster, just attach it as material, which is cool. And then you can if you normal or special summon this card, which he has, you know, a decent body, 1500 attack. You can target 5 Photon or Galaxy cards, not monsters, in your graveyard, shuffle them into the deck, and then draw 2 cards. So it's basically like Pot of Avarice for the archetype, and it is searchable with like Galaxy Wizard and other cards. So I'd say the only real problem with it is it does take a lot of graveyard setup. And a lot of people, you know, most of the time people don't actually play him. The reason I like this card is because this deck, I think the thing that it's lacking most is recursion. Like, if they, like, get rid of your board, like, this deck puts up some serious boards, but I think the biggest problem with it is that sometimes when they just drain your resources, you have a hard time coming back. And this is one of those cards that is really, really helpful, because it can kind of, like, restart the duel for you. But yeah, that's why I play it. Next, we've got one of the newer cards too, Photon Orbital. This deck's gotten a lot of support recently, but again, Photon Orbital. I mean, it's the Duelist pack. It's gotten Soul Fusion, dual power. The new XYZ monster that I'm going to be showcasing, very good. This is the newest support. This deck's gotten a lot of new support recently. But this card is one of the better ones. It's one of the more expensive cards in the whole deck. Other than this card, the deck is pretty reasonably priced, but this is one of the more expensive ones. But basically, during your main phase, you can target 1 Photon or Galaxy card. You control, equip it to that card from your hand to the field. So thank God they didn't make this a Union monster and make you normal summon and then equip it. Thank God they just made it equipable from the hand. It gains 500 attack, cannot be destroyed by battle. Most of your monsters are gigantic with tons of attack, so that effect's kind of irrelevant. And then you can send this card, you can send this equip card to the graveyard, target, and then add 1 Galaxy or Photon card from your deck to your hand. I'm sorry, Photon monster from your deck to your hand, and then you can obviously use this once per turn because that is a really good effect. Yeah, searches like the entire monster lineup, whatever you need. This is another card you really, really, really want to open with. It's so easy to use. It is interruptible, technically speaking. It is interruptible, you know, ashable and all that stuff. But again, we play the cards to counter that. But definitely a very, very good addition to the deck. Happy with this card. The only thing I'm not happy with is the price and the reality that this card is probably not getting reprinted anytime soon. Then we've got 3 copies of Photon Vanisher. Incredible card. Search that. Let's just discuss this. All right, cannot be normal summer set. You know, sounds bad, but must first be special summoned from the hand while you control a Photon or Galaxy monster. So again, all these monsters are very easy to summon. And then if this card is special summoned, you can add 1 Photon, Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon from your deck to your hand. And like we've talked about again, a lot of the cards require him in some sort of way or get an additional effect. And then kind of he has like the Zodiac effect down here. When he is used as an XYZ monster that has this guy as material, which we do play, gets this bonus effect, which is any monster that's destroyed by battle is banished instead. It's okay. I mean, it's a free effect, right? Can't complain. I mean, this card, if they didn't have this effect, is already I would already play it at 3, but it also has that effect, so it's like free, whatever. I'm not gonna complain. The fact that it searches Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon on summon, it's a +1. I'm happy with it already. We've got one copy of Photon Advancer. This is one of the newer cards too from Dual Power. I play it at 1 because it requires you to have a Photon monster on the field, but it is a free summon. It gains 1,000 attack, but like, I mean, it becomes 2,000, which is like somewhat relevant now because of the Link monster. But I'd say it's okay. That's why I play it at 1. It's kind of situational. You have to have a Photon monster. You don't want to, draw too many of this. And then we play one copy of Photon Thrasher, which is a free summon, but it's really only going. Yeah, it's better going second. And you have to have no monsters. So if you draw this and you already have a field, it's like, man, what do I do with this card? It's kind of like a dead card. So I play this definitely at 1. But yeah, I think that is my entire monster lineup there. So let's go over to the spells. Alright, for the spells, we start off with 2 copies of Galaxy Expedition. One of the better cards also to open with. It is a hard once per turn, and there are a lot of hard once per turns on the spells in this deck. But basically, if you control a level 5 or higher Photon or Galaxy monster, you can special summon 1 level 5 or higher Photon or Galaxy monster from your deck in defense position. And this is why I like, and why I don't understand that people are cutting Galaxy Wizard. This card, when you normal summon it, you can just make this 4 levels higher. So now you normal summon it, make it 4 levels higher. It is now a level 8, and it meets the stipulations for this card. You can then summon the Photon monster or Galaxy monster from your deck, tribute this, search another Galaxy card. Like I don't understand why you would cut Galaxy Wizard. Like, it fits so well with a lot of the cards. Also, Galaxy Soldier can meet this requirement, or a great deal of cards in this deck. But definitely, I like this card a lot. Play it at 2. As it is a hard once per turn, and it is searchable. Then we play 2 copies of Galaxy Trance. This card, I'm kind of like, I feel up and down about this card. Like, it's decent, but it's got a lot of harsh costs. But you pay 2,000 life points, target 1 Photon monster in your graveyard. Special summon both it and 1 Galaxy monster from your deck with the same level in defense position. And if you do, each monster's attack becomes 2,000, which is good because that meets the Link monster's requirement. But its effects are negated. That doesn't really matter, again, for Galaxy Wizard, because Galaxy Wizard tributes himself for cost and then activates in the graveyard. So in that regard, it doesn't really matter. Then you can only activate this card once per turn. So hard once per turn. You cannot normal summon or special summon monsters during the turn if you activate this card, except for Photon and Galaxy, which I am 99% okay with, but it's sort of frustrating because it locks you out of the Cyber Dragon Infinity play, which is a really strong play because Infinity steals your opponent's monster, and then it can negate stuff during your opponent's turn. But this is definitely a very good card. It does have a lot of costs and stipulations and requires some setup, and you don't, again, want to draw more than one of these in the hand, and it is searchable. So I'd say I think at 2 is very, very fair. Then we've got definite 3 of, no matter what build you're playing. Photon Sanctuary. Basically, this summons 2 tokens that are 2,000 attack each in defense position. Doesn't matter because we're going to link them away anyway. And then these tokens cannot special summon. You can't synchro summon or attack with these tokens, which is irrelevant because we're going to link them away. And then you can't summon other monsters from this deck except for light monsters. And again, like I said, I'm only playing a single dark monster in the entire deck and extra deck. Irrelevant effect. Basically, all of the stipulations on here don't affect us one bit. It's such a well-designed card because it's just perfect for us. It doesn't affect us negatively in any way. It would have affected us negatively a little while ago when this card was available and not banned, but now that it's banned, it definitely doesn't affect us. And then we've got 1 copy of Cellite. I only play this at 3. I think it's decent. I think it's good to start with, and under no circumstances do you ever want to see more than one of these in your opening hand ever. I think it's a good card. It's like a decent combo starter. I would almost want to cut it for another Photon Expedition or another Photon Trance. But I think I'm going to leave it. Again, it's a good card to open with, but never do you want to see more than one of this card in your hand. And it blocks your normal summon, which is a little bit frustrating. But I mean, at least you get a free monster from your deck, which is really cool. It has to be a level 4, but again, you can summon the all great Galaxy Wizard, or you can summon a monster you can summon a monster for you can summon a photon, so that you have a photon monster for photon vanisher, so you can summon himself. You can put monsters on the board to make it a little easier for yourself. I'd say at 1 this card is good, but absolutely not more than 1. Then we've got the generic spells. 3 copies of Trade-in, discard, draw 2 with any level 8. 1 reinforcements to the army, searches most of our photons, level 4 or lower, they're all warriors. 1 monster reborn, because can't complain. Just good recursion out of the graveyard. 3 call by the grave. We don't want our combos interrupted. We do not want them to interrupt Galaxy. What's his name? Galaxy Wizard. Do not want him to be interrupted because he tributes for cost. And then 3 copies of quite possibly the greatest counter trap of all time. I mean, seriously, this thing is scary. Basically, if you control a Galaxy Eyes monster, you can negate the activations of your opponent's spawn trap cards and monster effects activated before this card in the chain. And if you do, shuffle the negated cards on the field into the deck. So it negates everything in a chain. It only negates, obviously, your opponent's cards, not yours, because then it'd be kind of frustrating. And then probably its best effect is that it shuffles everything back, so it's not like they can just recur them or use them again. And then this comes up sometimes, but if you control a Galaxy Eyes Tachyon monster, you can actually activate this from your hand. So really, one of the best counter traps I've ever read. Definitely one of the best counter traps in the archetype. I wish it said Galaxy in the name, because then it'd be searchable with Wizard. But as far as this card exists right now, it is a hard draw. It's actually pretty decent going first and second, because if you have if you can summon a Tachyon, then you can use this during your opponent's turn or during your turn, which is really cool. Because then, if you go into battle phase, for example, you can negate effects. But definitely, that is the main deck. Let's move on to the extra deck here. We've got just to start off here, we've got a number 97. I don't even know how to say that. Dragobleon? Who knows? Basically requires 2 level 8s. This is one of the newer cards. Like, if you activate one of the cards that restricts you from summoning lights, obviously you can't use them. But when you can use them, and you definitely want to, first of all, your opponent cannot target this card with card effects, which they can't Veiler, they can't Impermanence, which is awesome. You can detach 1 material from this card, take 2 dragon number monsters with different names from your extra deck, except for this card, which we only play once, so you're not going to anyway. Special summon 1, attach the other one as material. Also, for the rest of this turn, you cannot special summon other monsters or declare an attack except with that special summon monster. And you can only use it once per turn. So, typically, you will want to special summon. So, usually your board will look something like this. You will usually have the Galaxy Eyes Solar Flare up here, pointing down here, activating this effect. Sometimes you can take them out of the graveyard, but if you're going first, you're only going to take them out of the, obviously, extra deck. But you want to summon the Hope Harbinger right here. It's a number monster. And then you attach as a material you have options here, but usually the Tachyon or the number 62, because those are the ones that you don't mind losing as much. You can also do number 90, but I would not recommend this. This is one of the best cards in your extra deck for the Galaxy build. So I would say one of those 2, and you attach it to the dragon. This card doesn't. Its spell negation doesn't require detachment, so it doesn't matter if it has materials or not. It's still an amazing card to have on field. So definitely this card is a fantastic addition to the deck. I'm very happy with it. Um, Very good in testing. Again, just it gets locked out sometimes if you use certain cards, like what it was, the Galaxy Trance and the Photon Summoning Tokens card. So it gets locked out with those two cards. But other than that, this card's been very, very good. Next, we've got number 38, one of the most abused number monsters in the game, both by Blue Eyes and recently by Thunder Dragons. Once per turn, you can just negate a spell, quick effect, and then attach it to this card as material. Gets free materials back, completely awesome. And then when your opponent's monster declares an attack, a lot of people don't even know about this effect. You can detach one material from this card and change the attack target to this target. And then also, if an XYZ monster is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can make a face-up XYZ monster gain the attack of that destroyed monster, which wouldn't matter in any other deck, basically, except for this deck, because you play a lot of XYZs. But definitely, its first effect is definitely the one you're using the most. Next, we've got Galaxy Eye Cypher Dragon, again, 2 level 8s. Once per turn, you can detach one material, target one face-up monster your opponent controls, and then basically you steal that monster from your opponent, and then make its name Galaxy Eyes Cypher Dragon, and no other card on your side of the field or monster on your side of the field can attack your opponent directly except for this card. But that monster that you stole becomes this card's name, so that monster can also attack your opponent directly. And then so that is another of those. And then we've got number 90, Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord, one of the best cards to go into in this particular deck, because it's already a decent level 8. Like Blue Eyes already plays it, and level 8 decks already play it. But when separate in this deck, it's just absolutely scary because it has like an additional effect for everything. All right, if this card has a photon material, a photon card as material, it cannot be destroyed by card effects. So already, like, it's got bonus effects. And as you know, Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon has both Galaxy and Photon, so it's got that. You can only use each effect once per turn, but you can use both effects. When your opponent's monster activates its effect, quick effect, you can detach one material from this card, negate that monster's effect, and if the detached monster was a Galaxy card, destroy that card. Alright, number one thing to address, that effect is like an Ash negation. It doesn't negate the activation. So if your opponent summons a monster and activates their effect, and the effect is a hard once per turn, it doesn't matter. It only negated the effects and never negated the activation. They cannot activate another one, which makes it really, really good. Number two, of course, you're going to detach the Galaxy because you're playing a Galaxy deck, and you're going to get the Destroy, which is awesome. And then its second effect, which again is exclusive to the Galaxy Eyes deck. I love how they designed this card because he's a good card. He's a good generic card, but he's also even better in the archetype. During your opponent's turn, quick effect, 2 quick effects, and they're both activatable. You can take one Photon or Galaxy card from your deck and either attach it to this card, add it to your hand or attach it to this card as a material. And it's Photon or Galaxy card, not monster. So it literally searches like every card, almost every single card in the deck, which is cool, except for, unfortunately, the counter trap. But it basically searches everything in the deck, which I love. And then, you can also attach it as material, so you can keep fueling this card to do all types of stuff during your turn, your opponent's turn. It's really, really good. Then we've got the Cyber Dragon package in Nova, which does nothing in this deck other than just help you climb into Infinity. Infinity, basically, you use 2 Galaxy Soldiers to make it. It's good. It's a decent go in first play. You basically can target a monster your opponent controls, put it as material underneath this, and then make this even higher in attack. It gains 200 attack for every material underneath it, and then also it can negate once per turn. And that is a quick effect during either player's turn, which is cool. So you can negate on your opponent's turn, negate during your turn. I found that this card is really, really good against back row decks because a lot of the time they'll have to activate a spell to get their engine going, and then they'll have to set a bunch of back row. So the problem is they activate a spell, you negate it, they end their turn, they have to set 2 trap cards, then they try to activate it during your turn, you negate it, and it's really hard for a back row based deck to play against Cyber Dragon Infinity. I've gone up against a lot of Cyber Dragon Infinities with back row decks, and it's really frustrating. Next, we've got back to the Galaxy Eye stuff. one copy of number 62. I usually put this under the Dragaloon or whatever the guy's name was at the bottom. But basically, this card is just a gigantic beat stick. I'm not going to bother reading all of this. I'm just going to explain it real quick. Basically, during damage calculation, it gains attack equal to all of the ranks. And if this card's destroyed, it can come back during the second standby phase after this card was destroyed, which you'll probably, to be 100% honest, you'll probably forget by then. And then if it has a Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon as material, and it inflicts half damage unless it has a Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon as material. But if it does have one, no, if it does not, but if it does, then it inflicts full damage. It can have some crazy attack too, because it gains 200 for every rank, and it's already rank 8. So I mean, it does some serious damage. We've got Galaxy Eyes Full Armored Photon. It requires 3 level 8s, which you're never going to do. You're just going to summon it over a Galaxy Eyes XYZ monster every single time. It has an effect with equip cards, but we don't play. We don't play the. I mean, you can. I'm not really sure if you can use the Photon Orbital if it counts as an equip card, but this is supposed to be used with like Galaxy Zero, which is the equip card that summons back from graveyard. But the effect you use more often is the detach to target one face-up card your opponent controls and destroy. That's usually what you're using. You've got one Galaxy Eyes Cypher Blade Dragon. You can also summon this with a level 8 Galaxy Eyes monster, like XYZ monster. And then basically once per turn you can target a card, pop it by detaching material. If this card was destroyed by your opponent's by battle or your opponent's card effect, which usually it's going to be by card effect, you can special summon one Galaxy Eyes Cypher Dragon from the graveyard, which is that other one that I showed you that was the cool looking Seeker, that one. So usually you'll like use this, steal a monster your opponent controls, and then just summon this over, destroy a card, and then if this is like popped during the battle phase or something, you can summon the other one right back out, which is really cool. Then we've got number 107 Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon. This card basically during the battle phase negates all your opponent at the start of the battle phase, negates all your opponent's like monster effects on the field. But if an effect is activated during the battle phase, he gains 1,000 attack, and he can attack twice during that battle phase. And he keeps gaining 1,000 every time an effect is activated. But I mean, it's kind of counterintuitive because you kind of negated their effects from activating, and then if it activates, then you gain effects, which is kind of like, it's kind of nonsense. But this card's good because it lets you activate Tachyon Transmigration from the hand, which is really cool. So you definitely want to make this sometimes going second if you know you're going into the battle phase. You might need some protection. That's cool there. This is the only rank 4 that we play. We played it 2 because you kind of have to go into it more than once sometimes. But basically, and this card is XYZ summoned. You can special summon a Photon monster from your hand. It's not technically a +1, but it does let you maybe get some of your bricks out of your hand. And then while this card has an XYZ material, your opponent cannot target monsters you control with 2,000 or more attack, which is almost everything. With card effects, also, they cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects, which is really cool. Protection basically for every card in the deck. And then once per turn, during your opponent's turn, you can detach one material, target one Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon that is banished or in your graveyard, and special summon it. Sometimes you'll lose them to Call by the Grave or other various things, and it's good to just basically get it back for free. So definitely a decent monster, kind of like helps your engine out, helps you protect everything. Next, we've got the Link Monster. Awesome card. I really have, it's really grown on me. At first, I was like, this card's okay, but it really has grown on me. Requirements are 2 light monsters, including at least a monster with 2,000 or more attack. Most of the time, all your monsters are 2,000 or more attack, but, it's cool that they give you some flexibility there. Most of the time, you're just making this with Photon Sanctuary with the 2 free tokens you're getting. But basically, if this card is Link summoned, you could target one Photon or Galaxy monster in your graveyard, add to your hand. So technically it is, if you give up 2 cards, this card is a -1 based on that. But it gets you a free card back, which is cool. And then, because usually you want to add back like Galaxy Soldier and then continue your plays, discarding and summoning. But basically, you can target one, oh yeah, I read that. During your opponent's main phase, you can discard 1 Photon and 1 Galaxy card, or discard 1 Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, then target 1 special summon monster your opponent controls and destroy it, which is, a decent interruption effect. I don't think you ever want to discard both, because unfortunately that is, That's a -1. It's just way too much to give up. But discarding a Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon to destroy a card, no, that's not bad. And then to round it up, we got one Hippo Shinnigan. Boosts all light monsters by 500 attack. When it's destroyed, you get back a light monster from your graveyard. Again, just a decent card to have. Sometimes you want to go into this because it boosts all your monsters, and you just want to go for game. Definitely worth considering. So that's it. I really have had a lot of fun playing this deck. Has a great amount. Like, can go second, can go first. Has to work on its recursion. I think it has some cards announced that are coming out. But definitely a very cool deck. Thank you for watching. I've enjoyed making this a lot. And subscribe.